During this present time, there are higher levels of mental health issues throughout all of the different age groups and populations. This past summer, 2020, Medicare did some research and found out that amongst Medicare beneficiaries, and they polled 10,903,000 Medicare beneficiaries over age 65, and they found that in general, 23% reported feeling more lonely, sad, and anxious. 46% felt more stressed than they normally felt, and especially in regards to feeling safe with their health. 37% felt less socially connected and more isolated. 18% also experienced stress with financial security. And overall, individuals who had pre-existing medical conditions, 48% of them felt an increased level of depression and mental health issues. When there's not times with COVID, according to the CDC, our elderly or people over age 55, or over age 65, typically the statistic is 20% of them have a stress with a mental health problem. So there's a significant adjustment amongst older people, and particularly in the fact that their health and feeling that they're safe with their own health, and if they have underlying medical conditions, it can be especially stressful. On the positive note, with people who are older, they tend to be more resilient because they've also experienced a lot of life issues in the past, so they may have learned how to cope with difficulty. So some people may be more resilient emotionally, but then physically feel that they're feeling more threatened in terms of getting sick, or their loved one or someone they live with getting sick with COVID. Most common mental illness challenges with our elderly would include depression, so the symptoms of depression. It would also include anxieties, especially like generalized anxiety disorder, so feeling anxious about a variety of things. And specifically related to older individuals would be dementia and memory loss, and that can affect a significant number of individuals who, as we age, our brains change and our memory can change, and that can be especially stressful for individuals. And also, when we look at mental health illnesses, they can also work together with physical health challenges. So if people have trouble hearing or seeing, some of those things can also lead to stressors and mental health conditions such as depression. Common signs to look for if you suspect yourself or your loved one are struggling with a mental health illness is that the first thing is if you notice there's any changes in their personal care, or if they're not having their normal energy level, they're sleeping a lot more than normal, not getting up in the morning. Any significant adjustments or changes in that respect could be a first initial warning sign. The second thing is social withdrawal. I know we're in a period right now of social isolation, but if when you call them, they're more socially withdrawn, or they're not even attempting to socially engage in places that they normally would, that would be something that I would have you look for. The third thing would be if they have more memory issues than normal, or they seem to be in more of a fog, and that's a change for them, that would be a warning sign. The last thing would be changes in their mood. Like if you see that they don't enjoy the things that they used to enjoy, they're not doing their normal personal activities, they're seeming to be sad, anxious. Also, if you notice that there's any changes in alcohol or drug consumption, which has been a bit of a concern with the pandemic. So being aware of if you see any changes in any of these areas, that could be a sign for you that it's a good time to take some action. When do you know if you should get professional help? The first step would be if there's no clear solution. If you can't see a way out, if it's not evident to you, that would be the first sign that it's time to get some additional intervention. If the symptoms that we've talked about are present for more than 2 weeks and they seem like there's not any progression, that would be a great time to look at talking with your doctor, getting help. If the symptoms are interfering with your activities of daily living and the things that you normally do, that's a good sign. And last and most importantly, if there's any signs of feeling suicidal or you hear them speaking about that, that would be a sign to seek immediate help. Either go to the emergency room or call right away to get help. There's many ways that people can get professional assistance, and they're much more easy to access than in the past. So any of these things can be a good first start to know that it's time to get some intervention. So initially, things that family and friends could do would be reach out and offer that emotional, social, and spiritual support to them, and try to engage as regularly as possible. Simple things can be done too, like help them obtain their medications, make sure that they stay on that regimen that they're normally in to help them stay healthy. The other thing is to encourage as many hobbies as possible. If they're feeling a lack of purpose because of COVID, help them think of things that they maybe wouldn't normally do, or if they could start hobbies online. There's lots of games to play online. Anything that gets them engaged in something, because when we're engaged in something and we feel a purpose, that can be tremendously helpful. And at this time also, finding different ways to relax is important, and then connecting. So looking for a way to help them get engaged with the computers and technology. A lot of seniors are pretty adept at doing technology, so just giving them a few hints or ways and making Zoom a fun thing to connect, even if you're doing a birthday party or the holidays on Zoom, making it as fun as possible so that they feel that they're engaged with what's going on. There are numerous treatment options available, and Medicare has also expanded teletherapy and telehealth services since the pandemic has started. So I think that's something significant and important to know, especially if you or your loved one is afraid to get out and go outside or be exposed in public. Psychotherapy is one initial way to get started, and so some people call that talk therapy, but it's a way that you get to go and talk about what's going on with you, what are some of the stressors, how you're currently dealing with it, and then it gives you the opportunity to think of different ways to look at things so that hopefully you can start to feel better, because sometimes our thoughts can direct our feelings, which then impacts our behavior. So even looking at some shifts in thought patterns or the self-talk that you or your loved one may be talking to yourself about can help significantly. So that would be one step, would be psychotherapy. Another option would be talking with someone about taking medication. So there's a lot of different medications that can help relieve some of the symptoms of anxiety and depression. This would require that you see a medical doctor, could be your primary doctor, could be a psychiatrist. So talk with your loved one about that option too. And many of those options are also still available over the computer or by telehealth also. Some things that caregivers can do initially is make sure you take care of yourself. So take care of your body. Use of scheduled relaxation. If you're a full-time caregiver, try to plan some time away from the house, even if it's you're going for a drive for 20 minutes, if the roads are safe, getting out, seeing something different so that you yourself get a break. Eating healthy and as possible is important right now. When we're stressed, sometimes we eat things that are quick or maybe aren't as healthy. So really keeping an eye on what kind of foods you're taking in. And then exercising regularly. Exercise is so important and can be just oftentimes a pretty simple fix or help if you're feeling stressed. If it's cold outside, if you have a garage, making laps there, finding ways to get out to just get some light exercise. It doesn't have to be intense. And then also try to connect with people. If there's lots of options online for caregiver support groups or grief support groups, if you're missing a loved one at this time, or you're having some symptoms of bereavement or loss. So really looking for ways to get support from other people. And then one important thing is to have insight into yourself. What makes you stressed? And if you initially know what makes you stressed, then you'll be able to know when you're getting it to a point of overload, and you can take some action to put in place some things that will help you feel better, or even have a little list of, or a toolbox of things you can turn to when you notice that you're getting more stressed than normal. If you have spirituality practices of any type, tapping into that, or if you can attend online services in ways that will support you spiritually, that can oftentimes provide a sense of hope and relief, especially in challenging times. And then focus energy on what you can control, because usually there's quite a few things we can control, and it's easy to lose sight of that when there's a pandemic going on and it feels like there's not a lot that can be controlled. What are simple things you can do, like the time you get up in the morning, establishing a daily routine, keeping a list of things that you want to get done that day, and controlling the way in which you run your day, and you help your loved one have a routine that can help both of you significantly. And then I recommend keeping like a gratitude journal. Notice one or two good things during the day, or maybe you can talk with your loved one or the older person in your family about something that went well that day. Using this pandemic as a way to expand the things that we notice that are going well and appreciate who is in the present moment with us. And the last thing is to really have some self-compassion. This is a hard time for everyone, all age groups. But if you can bring compassion to yourself, it's also easier to express and give compassion to other people in your life, and can make a significant difference in feeling better.